All right, Brian from Garage Mahal. Today we are working on a 2017 Chevy Sonic, and I already removed the overspill container for the antifreeze, but basically there's a clip that goes on here and it attaches there, and you got to kind of like wiggle it out because these two connections are basically sitting in those pieces. Pretty simple process, but your brake booster is back there and it's held on by two bolts on either side. Kind of hard to see. And the fun part that I haven't even gotten into yet is going to be figuring out how the brake pedal is attached to that booster pump. So you can see the booster pump there, and it goes into that weird weld. Let me bring the light out a little bit. Weird weld on a brake pedal. And I believe I'm going to have to detach. Try to get a good angle. It's tight on here. And we have to detach. That is the brake pedal sensor that's already there. So it tells you about how much, tells the computer inside how much brake pressure you're actually applying. But anyhow, there's probably a clip or something that I can't see or feel around in there, but I'll let you know, and once I pull it out, I'll give you a little bit better hits and tricks on that. But anyhow, that's what we got going on today. And this I was going to show step by step with the GoPro, but it's going to be a little bit of a process. Anyhow, I'll take it step by step with some short little bursts. Like, first thing I'm going to do is detach the brake lines off of that. So the analog brake system, so I can get the master cylinder off and slide the brake booster out pretty easy. Anyhow, stay tuned. Okay, so after I drained the master cylinder as best as I could, that bolt right there is a 15/16. So that's a strange socket size. Glad I had it. And if you can tell from the configuration, I had to use a wobble and then an extension, two extensions to get the other side. And I disconnected the brake lines from anti-lock system, and that was a 13mm flare and also a regular 13mm open. It's helpful. Alright, so this is the new brake booster, but I wanted to show you this piece is what sits in the, I guess, that little welded box that's sitting on a brake pedal. And thank goodness, I thought I broke it. It comes in 3 pieces. So basically what you're doing is it's a box that clips in around. Got my glove stuck. Okay. So this piece goes basically around, and then it's going to clip on the other side. So the trick of that is putting that back in the box, clipping it to this before you get the brake pedal in. So let me just show you where I found this piece. Get the light set right. Alright, hopefully I'm not blinding you guys or girls. Alright. So that little welded box is right here. If you can see it, there you go. Okay, better camera angle. And you definitely need a Phillips head screwdriver, because once you get it unclipped from the back, you put some pressure on it and you got to pull it a little bit. You're going to push your Phillips head through there to pop it out completely on the other side. And like I said, when I did that, it snapped into 2 pieces. It's 3, and it was easy to get to. And also, an angled pair of needle nose is what you're going to need to get up behind here to grab that clip. Anyway, like I said, I would have showed you how to do that while I was doing it, but that's a little tight spot. Anyway. Okay, so to get the booster out, I ended up having to take out the ABS pump. Did not want to do that because that's always a pain to line those lines back up again, get them nice and tight, but however, I had to do it. You also got to loosen up the bottom bolt on this, and then when you are taking, hang on a second, let me readjust that piece. When you're taking this out, you'll have enough room back there to rotate it towards you, and then you're going to be basically pulling this piece out this way. So then when you put it back in, you're going to have to put it back in, rotate it, and gently maneuver it back in, making sure that you don't twist this piston piece too hard either way, otherwise you're going to break the diaphragm on the inside, which is what the problem was, a failed diaphragm. Anyhow, so you can see how much room you actually have in there after you disconnect the ABS pump. That was not a fun task, I gotta forewarn you. However, you definitely have to take that out to get the room. Some cars you can wiggle it past. This one, thank you Chevy, but you cannot. Alright, so we're going to set these pieces up. This actually is going to be facing this way, going into that little block I showed you guys before. And then this piece, this is going to be the inside of it, facing out. So the configuration of this again is going to be, see how you got the little ball and socket, and then that little piece holds the ball and socket on that side, and then this holds the ball and socket on the other. So basically you're going to be putting these 2 pieces together like so. Around the end of the, I guess the piston you want to call it, that I have sticking up through there. So again, kind of tight to film it, but you'll get a general idea once I have it all together. But that is going to go on the end of that piece right there. Okay. Alright, it would have been fantastic to be able to video this, but you're basically kind of lining up your box. You put the middle section and left, doesn't matter what side, together. You're slipping it on the ball when you get it over, and then you're gonna snap on the other side with one hand, and then you're gonna guide it into that brake pedal box up there. It's kind of hard to explain. It would have been better to videotape, but I could not get a good camera angle on that. But anyhow, hopefully you can kind of figure it out. I like to call it like a finger gymnastics, because you got to use like one hand, but you can get it. It's not that difficult. All right, final words on the Chevy Cruze brake booster install. A little bit more difficult than I had anticipated. Definitely allow yourself a couple hours to do the job. I think the entire thing took me about 2 hours to do, probably a little over 2 hours. I ended up doing all 4 corners, pads and rotors as well on a vehicle, because it definitely needed it. But just make sure that you are taking your time, especially when you have to remove the ABS pump and putting the lines back in. As tight as I put the lines, I ended up having a leak on probably, I think it was the second line going to, I think it was the rear right Ended up having a little bit of a leak. I ended up having to torque it down a little bit more than I thought I was going to have to, and that seemed to alleviate the whole process. Make sure that you obviously disconnect your battery in the beginning. I don't think I put that in the first part of the video, as well as make sure that you bleed the brakes completely afterwards. The ABS system will definitely get some air bubbles in it, and you'll notice that the lines, they run up on top. So any air that gets in the system is definitely going to hover around in those the top part of those lines right off the ABS system. So definitely do a good brake bleed at the end. And I think that's probably about everything that I can say about the whole job. I didn't find any videos online for it to help me out. So it's kind of like one of these discovery videos. 2017, a newer vehicle. Didn't expect the brake pump to go, but the diaphragm was definitely, I guess, blown on that on the brake booster itself. It was very loose, but anyway, repair had to be done, and I appreciate you guys watching. Thanks for also subscribing. Have a great day. Be safe.